This is the Transforming Anxiety Podcast with Kelly Hanlon McCormick, and today is episode number 200, Your Only Job. Welcome to Transforming Anxiety. I'm your host, Kelly McCormick. I'm a mom to 2 boys, a wife, friend, daughter, and sister, and I'm a certified life coach, yoga teacher, and soon-to-be mindfulness meditation teacher. I'm no stranger to anxiety, and I'm here to teach you how to manage your mind and your emotions so that you too can transform anxiety into calm, peace, and whatever you want for your life. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. This is kind of fun. The first episode of the new year, 2023, happens to be episode number 200. Are we ready? Well, who the hell knows if we're ready for 2023, right? At this point, I don't have any ideas or expectations about what this could possibly bring. I'm just speaking for myself here. I'm not feeling hopeless. I'm not despairing about it. But I'll admit I'm not super hopeful either. Not yet. There's just been too much. It's been too much of too much. So, that said, 2023, it's here. That's something. But how about episode number 200? That is kind of fun. I'm a little excited about that. 200 episodes we've been hanging out. 200 episodes, 200 weeks of transforming anxiety. It's a lot too, right? But I think it's the good kind of a lot, if you ask me. This work takes a lot. It requires a lot out of us. We have to show up day after day after day. We have to show up whether we want to or not, because it takes consistency. It takes meeting ourselves where we're at, right? Good days, bad days. It takes looking at things from different angles, zooming in, zooming way out. It takes awareness. It takes kindness. It takes heaps of self-compassion. You cannot hate yourself out of anxiety. I know you've noticed this. I know sometimes, oftentimes, maybe mindfulness, meditation, practices like yoga and thought work, they get shuffled under the label of soft. They're really easy or indulgent or nice to have kinds of things. I tell you though, that's not been my experience. You want some hard work? Try taking a look at what's going on in your mind. Try feeling how you really feel. Try asking yourself what you truly deeply want. This is not work for the faint of heart. No, this is the work of our lives. This is the most important work anyone could possibly do. Everything falls out from here. Do you think it's a little wild that they teach us things like algebra and prepositions and geography and Shakespeare in school, and then they turn us loose on the world in our lives, and it's they just, give us a pat on the back and say, you've got this. We're left to sort out things like relationships and work and communication and parenting and finances, our health, how to handle our own insides, our thoughts and feelings and desires and beliefs. All of the most important things. They're I'm sure you're good. Have fun. Right? Audre Lorde said, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. This is true. Caring for yourself is not self-indulgent. It's not cute. It's not squishy. It's not luxurious. It's mostly not that fun. I mean, it can be, I guess, sometimes. It's definitely not a nice to have thing. It is the most powerful force. It's truly an act of political warfare, yes. Okay, so today welcome. We're going to talk about, let me finally tell you, we're going to talk about your only job today. And maybe you've kind of already guessed it based on that quote and what we just rambled through, or what I just rambled through, you hung around for. Your only job, the only thing you ever have to do, the most important, it all comes down to this job of your life, is to take care of yourself. Your only job is to take care of yourself. I'm going to say that one more time for myself, for you, to really let this sink in. Your only job ever is to take care of yourself. Let's think about all the things you do in a day, in a week, in a year. Like you do things like you sleep, brush your teeth, eat, take care of your kids. Maybe you take care of parents, friends, neighbors. You take the trash out, you wash the dishes, you walk the dog, you go to work, you make the bed, you check the news, you send emails. In each of those cases, every single thing you're doing, if we boil it down to its essence, the why behind you're doing what you're doing, it's a caretaking activity. You sleep to take care of your body so that you can show up the next day and the next day. You brush your teeth so you have good oral hygiene, so you aren't in pain, so that you can eat, so you have good overall health. You take care of your kids because in a primal way, they're an extension of you, right? Perhaps your bloodline. You love them. You want to support them. And in a way, really, that's all a way of taking care of yourself because it feels so good to take care of and raise your kids. Maybe not hour by hour, right? But overall, you work so that you can make money so that you can take care of yourself. My cat is talking to us as well. You also work so that you can accomplish things and put something into the world and offer value to coworkers and your company and others around you. It's all about taking care of you. Do you see what I mean? So one thing, I would challenge you to take a look at your life, whatever it is you're up to in any given moment, and just find how that task, that activity, that behavior is in service of taking care of yourself. Your only job, taking care of you. When I sit down to write a podcast, when I curl up on the couch, when I pull out my book, when I practice yoga or when I meditate, when I go to bed, when I connect with a friend, when I laugh, when I cry, when I push myself, when I back off, it's all in the interest of taking care of myself. Sometimes it may be annoying, right? I don't want to pay taxes or go to the dentist or get the oil in my car changed. But those things all serve to take care of me. Sometimes it may be boring, right? I'm very rarely excited to meditate, but I know it works. It takes care of me. Sometimes it can be totally fun. Like when I take a trip, when I go out to eat, or hell, when I get like a new bag or something. Those things all take care of me in some way. All of it. So just look at your daily things. Look at your weekly things. Everything you do. And just see, like when you find the essence, the core of it, why you're doing it. Find out how it takes care of you. As you do this, I want you to notice you may happen upon some things that don't seem to make a lot of sense, right? Like how does, for instance, over drinking take care of me? How does saying yes to too many things take care of me? How does feeling anxious so often take care of me? Right? I hear you. I totally get it. On the surface, these things don't seem to make much sense. They're painful, they get in the way, they're really uncomfortable, sure. And let's consider it. We do these things for a reason. And even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, maybe, even though it's maybe not the healthiest thing, I want you to consider it works. I can speak for myself here. I know the reasons I drank were mostly because I was feeling things I didn't want to feel. I was anxious, or I was nervous, or I just didn't want to be wherever I was at the party or the event or whatever it was, right? And guess what? Chardonnay works very well in the moment. I didn't want to be there. It makes it all go away. It wasn't the wisest way to take care of myself, but I was taking care of myself. You see what I mean? Like, how about over-yesing? When we say yes to anyone or any request lobbed our way. Well, again, we spread ourselves far too thin when we do this. We wind up doing things we don't really want to do. We have a schedule jam-packed with too much, too busy, too chaotic. And we're trying to take care of ourselves every time we say yes because we're trying to belong. We're trying to make people around us happy or make their lives easier or make something go smoothly. We're trying to help somebody. Mostly we're trying to belong. This is a really primal and important way of taking care of ourselves. How about feeling anxious though? When you start to feel chronically anxious, like it's the only feeling you feel, or at least it seems that way. Like, what in the world? What purpose does that serve? How does that take care of you? I know this one well, my friend. Maybe you do too. Here's the deal. When you feel anxious, and then you feel anxious again, and then maybe you panic, you're starting to get familiar with anxiety. You are practicing anxiety and getting better at it. It's becoming a deeper groove in your brain, a more well-traveled pathway. And it's becoming comfortable in the sense that at least you know how it's going to go down. It's not great, but it's not unknown. And we fear certainty and the unknown far more than we fear discomfort. So when we start generating anxiety on purpose at this point, because we know it, we're familiar with it. And when you consider the vast range of human emotions that are available to us, it's way easier to stick with a drumbeat you know, like anxiety, however uncomfortable, because it's familiar. So, in this way, anxiety kind of sort of works for you. It's a way of taking care of yourself. Wild, right? You've created, in a sense, you've created predictability, you've created familiarity, and you're not having to go to unknown, uncharted territories by feeling feelings outside of your wheelhouse. Make sense? It's not that the anxiety is taking care of you, necessarily, but your brain is quote unquote taking care of you by helping you travel down the same emotional path over and over. At least you know how it's going to go down. And there's a lot to be said for that kind of dependability from an evolutionary standpoint. We humans like habits. We love routines. We like things to be the same, including our emotions. So we take care of ourselves by feeling the same feelings, the same family of feelings, often. Weird, but true. So, your only job, taking care of yourself. I want you to consider what you do, how you do what you do, your words, your actions, your behaviors, your ways of moving about the world. What if you intentionally thought of all of it as some form of taking care of yourself? Like, what if we shifted the script on what you think you have to do during the day and thought of it more as, this is a way I take care of myself? Like, when I get up early to practice yoga, there's a real sense that I'm doing something deeply loving and nurturing for myself. By moving, by exercising, by breathing first thing in the morning every day. What if you thought about your meals this way? This food is a way of taking care of myself. Maybe you bemoan how much time it takes to get lunches organized every day, or you kind of get in your own way by treating your tummy like a trash can and just throwing any and everything you can find down your throat. If you woke up in those moments, if you had a moment of awareness there and thought, hey, food is one way I take care of myself, Perhaps that would shift the relationship you have with food. It's a way of nourishing yourself. Same with your work. What if you didn't have to go to work and you didn't have to hate your work and the time and the stress and yada yada about it? What if instead you viewed your work as a way of taking care of yourself, of offering yourself to the world? It's a subtle shift in thinking, in framing your actions and what you're doing, but consider the ramifications of it, how it feels different to think of it this way. And this is with everything: making your bed, calling your parents, dusting, making the doctor's appointment, going out, staying in, learning something new, resting, setting a goal. All of it is for you. It's all in the interest of caring for yourself. That's it. Your most important job, right? I find it really helpful, really supportive to think of things in this light. I remember those really tender times in my life, like when I was pregnant, when I was recovering from COVID, like the OG first round pre-vaccine COVID that was so brutal. I think about when I spent my very first night in a new city all alone, brand new apartment, just mine. I think about when I'd lost a friend of mine in a car accident. Those moments that are either physically or emotionally, like you're on your knees or just laid out all together, right? And all you can do is care for yourself. There's a have to with those, right? You have no option but to heal or to grieve or whatever in those times. But when you bring that kind of depth, that kind of intention to your everyday life, it's kind of wild how even drinking a glass of water can feel spectacular. How turning a project in can feel like a really meaningful offering. How looking your kid or friend in the eyes and really hearing them can feel borderline miraculous. It's amazing. Your most important job is to take care of yourself, and viewing your life as a series of things you're doing to take care of yourself. It's a game changer, I'm telling you. Okay, to circle back to the importance of this work, this kind of practice, right? A practice of mindfulness, awareness, compassion. I want to leave you with just a few other ideas that are kind of tangentially related to this. Your only job of taking care of yourself. So one comes from Gretchen Rubin. She wrote this in her it wasn't her first book, one of her early books, The Happiness Project. She said, "The belief that unhappiness is selfless and happiness is selfish is misguided. It's more selfless to act happy. It takes energy, generosity, and discipline to be unfailingly lighthearted. Yet everyone takes the happy person for granted. No one is careful of his feelings or tries to keep his spirits high. He seems self-sufficient. He becomes a cushion for others. And because happiness seems unforced, that person usually gets no credit." So again, your most important job is to take care of yourself. And for many of us, happiness is at the center of this. We want to be happy. We're wired to point ourselves in the direction of pleasure, of ease, of happiness. And at the same time, we're fed this idea that if we're kind of miserable and chaotic and overly busy and frazzled, that we're somehow doing it right, that we should feel a little on edge and anxious all day, every day. And I want to remind you, the most important job, your only job, is taking care of yourself. And there's something about the pursuit of happiness that's akin to this, right? You see that in what she's talking about with the happy people are kind of shoved aside, right? Like this work is kind of shoved off as being like soft or indulgent, right? We want and need to stay close to this though. Yeah? All right, Bell Hooks said this: "Knowing how to be solitary is central to the art of loving. When we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means of escape. I love this idea too, that knowing how to connect and how to be solitary are both key to taking care of ourselves, both central to the art of loving, as Bell Hooks says it. Knowing how to be solitary and letting that be a way of taking care of ourselves, and allowing connection, being with others, and then doing it without using them as a means of escape. We're not using them to get away from ourselves. It's connection, right? Taking care of ourselves. So good. All right. Lastly, this is from Rupi Kaur. She wrote this in her book of poetry, Milk and Honey. How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. Let me say that again since I biffed it. How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. Folks, yes. When you recognize that your only job is to take care of yourself, and you love yourself accordingly, whatever you're up to, you invite others. You're teaching others how to love you too. If you have a sense that you're not loved well, that you want to be loved differently, sure, that could be down to the people in your life, the relationships you're in, maybe. But start closer to home, where you have full control. Start with you. Are you loving yourself? How are you loving yourself? What are you teaching others about how to love you? We have to be willing to take that job, taking care of ourselves, seriously, super seriously. You know when you're in the presence of someone who doesn't mess around, right? Who's confident, who's serious about taking care of themselves, right? You know what that feels like. We respond to that. You can be that too. You can show up. You can love yourself so well that others can't help but learn that from you. How to love you. And how to love you, but also maybe how to love themselves. So good. All right, so to follow on the heels of a no-goal new year, which is what we talked about around here last week, I wanted to keep things kind of in the same vein here. Your only job this year, or ever, is to take care of yourself. That's it. View what you're doing, how you're doing what you're doing this way. See how it shifts things for you. Take care of yourself. You're the best person for that job, for sure. You're the only one who knows how to do it. All right, my friend, Happy New Year. 2023 is here. Wow. Here we go. Listen, I'm going to have some fun classes, some new announcements, some ways to work more directly with me, with you, coming up. So make sure that you're on my email list. You can sign up over at kellyhanlonmccormick.com. Stay connected and in the know, especially if you want more transforming anxiety in your life. And I will see you at the same time, same place next week. Until then, your only job, remember, take care of you. Do you have someone to help you with your stress, anxiety, worry, and overwhelm? If not, I would love to be your coach. The Fierce Calm Project is my virtual coaching program where we get to go in on topics like this one, and I can help you apply these lessons to your life so that you're creating your own transformation. We do live coaching calls, guided meditations, on-demand yoga classes. We hold book club where we read books your neighborhood book club won't, and there's lots of bonus content that I've created just for you. When you're ready to take what you're learning on the podcast to a whole other level, then come on over and check out the Fierce Calm Project at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/Fierce Calm Project.